Well, we're going to get to the fortitude you've probably had to have the last 5 days or so because it has been an absolute goddamn whirlwind within PulseChain. I don't even remember the stuff from Friday that I just saw in here. So let's look at the prices. That's usually what you can look at first to tell you the news. So we got Pulse at pretty much 4 zeros and a 3. It's right below it, basically hanging out right at all-time low. It's just hanging out right at that support. It did wick down below that yesterday, which we're going to get to shortly. We've got PulseX pretty much at parity, been the strongest token really in the ecosystem. 40265. Inc is down to $1.62. We have Hex way back down now to 007 Agent 53, and eHex. It's not on GoPulse, so I'm looking on here. It is 0021 right now. So yeah, things are absolutely butchered. The main token of the ecosystem, Pulse, is at again all-time lows, triple bottoming basically in this wave. We had, and we'll get into these individual topics, but some short-term catalyst for the last few days was that the SEC, which we thought was going to just leave, be done with this because they lost so badly. They had 20 days to file to see if they could amend their complaint. It's not an appeal or anything like that. The judge made a ruling. The judge, I feel like we have to reset this. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't even get into this yet because I'm getting too far into the main topic. Let's just cover the prices and we'll get to the catalyst for it. So the SEC thing happened Friday. That created some volatility. And then, of course, the huge sell-off of Atropa and PDI and Maria from Atropa yesterday, live streaming quite literally, selling off huge amounts. Was it a troll? Was it real? What is going on with him? I have no idea. But we'll get even more to those stories. But just technically looking at the chart, which really is the most important thing, I think with all of this, including PDI, I think that's what people should be doing is more so focusing on charts instead of sleuth activity and all that stuff. But yeah, what do you make of Pulse? I mean, we're triple bottoming here at this point. It's really the most important chart to look at right now, I think. So what do you make here?
Well, we actually quadruple bottomed and then broke through.
Right.
So yeah, we've done more than triple bottom. We actually broke through the bottom. It's not really a seal, the floor. We broke through the floor. It did, respond at about 2.8. About 2.803 is what it looks like. And it has kind of rebounded since. We still haven't pulled up to that support level that was like 3.1, 3.18 or roughly in that area. But it is close. It just it's creeping back and forth right now between just right at 3, essentially. It keeps going 3.0 and then 2.99. So, there is something to say for it, at least holding that level. It was one of the next levels that I was kind of talking about. I think 2.8 was the level that I mentioned last week, was just a guess without breaking out the Fibonacci tool. But it's nice to see that there has been a new floor somewhat made. We need a couple green candles though to confirm that before it decides to go even further. And I think the market kind of needs to decide what it's going to do about these other coins too. So yeah, there's a lot of indecision right now by the looks of this, and it could hold, but it could keep going further if there's further uncertainty.
It seems like that area is kind of a magnet because even after the gigantic sell-off and all the drama from yesterday, that wick was horrible for about 2 hours, basically, and then it came right back up into this region. So, I mean, we are looking at the daily, which that may not be. I mean, I know we're doing it to highlight what's happening in the short term, but if you put it on the weekly, I don't think there really has been any kind of new low put in because it's just, so far has happened intraday and was just for a couple hour long period. So maybe we did by looking at that. I can't.
Well, yeah, it's definitely below. It hasn't closed yet. Yeah. It's not a closed candle, but the wick is definitely as far down as we've ever been. Even back whenever it first launched. Well, I guess this was August that it did that first dip. But
yeah, that was the SEC.
That was the SEC. Yeah.
Yeah, saving investors one step at a time.
Yeah, right.
The good news is here, I mean, yeah, this is maddening, frustrating, hard to get through, stressful and stuff like that. But keep in mind, I don't want to look at it necessarily because we've got way too much to get to, but PulseX has done phenomenally. I mean, like its chart has been fantastic. It's run up, of course, against Pulse. So this is one of those things. We were going to talk about this a couple of weeks ago, but just it again, obviously lately that doesn't look great. But I mean, it's been a slow trend up, and of course, we've talked many times. Its chart against Pulse is fantastic. So the thing is, you're probably hurting more at this exact moment if you've chosen to only DCA into Pulse, which why you would do, I have no idea. I don't think there's really anybody that did do just that. I really don't think since the beginning of the ecosystem, there were too many people that would have been like, yeah, the number one most valuable token is going to be the gas token. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've DCA'd into it heavily and, maybe a third, most people do a third Hex, third PulseChain, a third PulseX. And then, of course, people mess around with other stuff. But if you've been DCAing into these things evenly, especially PulseX hardcore, you're feeling bad, but you're not feeling as if you just DCA'd into PulseChain because it's run up against it, obviously. So,
sure. Yeah, against PulseChain, it has. Against the dollar, it's pretty, stagnant, so to say. Let's take a look at that again. It's at least flat. It hasn't done a whole lot of bad. I mean, it stayed within this range of well, that was the sacrifice that it touched.
That was a year ago, probably last March when we ran up. I think that's what that would have been, probably.
Yeah, March of 24. Yep.
Yeah. Seems like a decade ago.
So since March, it has definitely stayed, in a pretty big channel, anywhere between 4 zeros and a 1.5, and all the way up to 4 zeros and a 6.2. So it's stayed within that channel. It hasn't tanked too badly, and you could have made some moves, I guess, if you were a trader. Obviously, we don't recommend trying to play these dips like that too much because it's very easy to get left behind by doing that. But if you do know what you're doing and you know what technical analysis to look at, you could have made some nice gains on some of these swings.
Yeah, for sure. But holding long and strong. The same story. We need ETH to turn around. I mean, it's not just us; it's everybody in the altcoin market. So